Right, folks, I promised I would do a video discussing the things I don't like about these dual Rio aquariums. Which isn't to say I don't like the aquariums, because I absolutely do. I love them, in fact. Really, really like this fish tank. But there are a couple of things that I think, I'm not going to say aren't good enough, but could maybe be improved to make it even better. They are very, very small points. They're not deal breakers by any manner of means, but certainly a couple of things I've noticed whilst working with it and enjoying it. First off, we've got the lid, which I do like. It fits neatly, and I like the way it comes in two halves, the front and the back, with the centre support. Means maintenance is very, very easy, and the lid is very light, which I like as well. I don't really like heavy lids. But the plastic is very, very flexible. You can see that here. That's no problem at all when it comes to being a lid. Where it does become an issue is when you're replacing it if you've taken it off. You kind of got to slot the two ends into place and then shut it over like that. That's fine as long as you've lined it up right and it shuts over the way it's supposed to. No problem at all. However, if you put a wee bit of a bend in it, the middle can droop a little bit, and you can see it's pushing against that centre support now. That's our responsibility. That's user error if we get it wrong. I just wonder if they could have reinforced the back edge of that lid though, to try and keep it a wee bit more rigid. The issue is they're only very small flaps, so if we did put pressure on the middle when we were closing it, we could snap them off. Again, it wouldn't ruin the tank. You can still close the lid over, but don't really want that to happen, do we? In order to avoid that happening, we just need to make sure that we've seated the edge of the lid into this wee groove here, which I suppose is easy enough if you're paying attention. However, this is also my second complaint. The problem is it's deep enough to collect a lot of water. So when you open the lid, the condensation runs down and gets caught in that wee groove. And also condensation seems to collect there anyway. If a wee bit of food has found its way into that groove, or even a wee bit of plant matter, it can decay and start to mould. So we need to make sure we're cleaning this out regularly. I just wonder if they'd cut is the wrong word, moulded a few holes in this, the water would be released. If they did one each side of the centre and then one at each end, it would be enough to release that water back into the tank, and that wouldn't be an issue anymore. I'm no aquarium engineer obviously, but I don't think it would weaken it. Certainly not enough, and I think it would be a reasonable adjustment to make. Right, next we're going to get onto the filter, but don't worry, I don't think I'm going to say the things that you might expect about it. If you remember, if you saw the previous videos, I put a sponge pad in between the two chambers so that water couldn't move from the front to the back. Now, that is because I completely misunderstood the filter. I'm removing that and running the filter as intended, and I'll explain for why. So it'd be too hard to show you on the filter that's in the tank unless I emptied the whole thing out. But I remembered I had another one of these stuck at the back of the fish cupboard, so I've dug it out to demonstrate this. We can get a better look at it this way. So there's the pipe that runs back to the tank. Take the lid off and take the motor out. And on the bottom of this, you can see that's where our impeller is. That's where what draws all the water through. And then if we take a look down into that back chamber, that is our intake pipe. And this is where I went wrong. I was under the impression it was a kind of standard intake filter build, right? So I've ripped this one out of the flex to show you. There's a pipe that the water runs up and goes back to the tank. And at the bottom, we've got the motor and a wee grid that draws the water through. So I thought that's what was sitting at the bottom of the return pipe in the dual filter. I was clearly wrong. It's not particularly easy to get a view of this, but the bottom of that pipe is actually moulded to the chamber at the front. It's one complete piece. So the only way that the water gets drawn through is kind of halfway, 2/3 down. You see that wee hole there? Now that sits like well deep down into your media. You've got, well, typically sponges that you use all the way down there. Then I've got the biomedia sitting at the bottom of the filter. But all the water is drawn through there. Every bit of it. What that means is all of the water is being pulled through that media, including the water from these two vents, which comes in at the back of the filter there, joins the front chamber, goes through all your sponges, through the pipe, and then back out to the tank there. It works far better than I first appreciated. That's where I had the sponge blocking off the water that was being sucked through there, and it was a mistake. So to demonstrate it on the tank that's running, if I drop a wee bit of flake food there, you can see all that water and any debris that is collected definitely gets drawn into that front chamber, and it will swirl around, and once that flake food gets waterlogged, it'll get drawn down through the media. Some people have been critical of these filters, but I think they're fantastic. I think it's designed and built really, really well. I think it's really, really effective, and I owe an apology to Juwel and anyone that watched the previous video where I said otherwise. So if that's not my complaint about this filter, what is then? Well, if we stick the return pipe back, you can see all the water returns to the tank from the left of this filter, right? There's no way that you can assemble it any differently. There's no hole on the right where you could move the pipe to, no way of doing that. So the filter has always got to be on the right hand side of the tank. It's the only way you can order it. It's the only way you can, well, it comes pre-built, but you can't take it out and shift it to the other side. That is annoying. You'll see in a minute the way my tank is, the way it is positioned in the house. It would have been better if the filter could have been on the left hand side. Again, not a deal breaker, for me at least anyway, but it would be nice to have the other option. The last thing then is the filter again. So it is positioned quite neat to the side and the back of the tank, but not flush with it, right? Also, there's not much of a gap, which means it collects all this detritus. Look at that. It's too tight up to the glass to really get any sort of cleaning item in there. Cleaning equipment, you probably can do it if you put some effort in, but it's tricky. And I'm in two minds about it because it's probably got all sorts of cool bacteria in there doing a nice job for your water quality and stuff. So the only reason it becomes an issue is because it's on the side of the aquarium, and this leads back to my last point. This comes back to where the filter is positioned. Maybe it's not the filter's fault. Maybe my house is built wrong. I don't know. But here's my aquarium, which sits with a wall on the left. So it would have been ideal if the filter was there. This side leads to the rest of the house, and then up the stairs. So I'm constantly walking past that filter and seeing all the gunk stuck behind it. Again, it might be cool gunk, right? It might be doing a good job in there, right? But constantly seeing it when I walk past isn't ideal. If I had the option of putting the filter at the other end of the tank, well, it would never be in my eye line. It would never be in my mind, would it? Also, when other people visit, people don't really know about fish tanks, that's the first thing they mention. I'd rather they said, look at that cool tank, before anything else. Anyway, like I said in the beginning, they are relatively small points. I am delighted with the Juwel. I think it's a fabulous fish tank. I don't think anything is perfect, aquariums included, so I might be being a bit picky about the points I raised. If that's the case, and I believe that to be true. Then we've got a glass box and accessories that is capable of building an awesome underwater world for us to enjoy. I didn't mention the cabinet at all because really I can't find fault in it. But if I did miss anything, as ever, put it down below so we can help each other out. Somebody's looking to maybe purchase one of these aquariums. Always helps to give a balanced view, don't it? Said I'd make the video of the wee points that I found. Like I say, overly critical. It's a wonderful tank. So now I've done it, I'm out. Later.